Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-hosts, Russell Jackman and Mike McDowd. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. Today, again, since we're still heating up in NBA season, that's our theme, the NBA. I always like to do that for Russell because that's his favorite sport.
That's
All right.
it makes me sound somewhat intelligent, as opposed to when you ask me the baseball stuff from the 1800s.
Well, that's true. Hey, if we even go back to the 1700s, it'll be even harder because then I guess we talk about rounders or something. And let's see. I guess we're just starting to get into March Madness, huh? You guys excited about that?
Sure. That wasn't to me. That was not the big story. Is not March Madness. Is not what I would lead with. For me, it's the Blake Snell deal for the San Francisco Giants.
That's true. Well, for us local people, correct.
Yeah, exactly.
But Mike's kind of throwing his hands up.
That's a big deal. Even around baseball, I think it's a pretty big deal.
Well, true. That is definitely true. Okay, and then old Aaron Donald. I loved it when he announced his retirement after 10 years, and some of the quarterbacks are kind of going, "Good riddance," you know.
Oh yeah, no, I that's great news as a 49er fan. I'm thrilled to hear that.
Yeah. No, that's pretty awesome. And then I'm going to ask you guys when we come back when Caitlin Clark goes to the NBA. I'm kind of wondering what her salary is going to be.
Did you say NBA?
Yeah, really. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, might make it in the NBA, but the WNBA.
The Wizards might be interested in her. I'm telling you.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. All right, you are listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We are going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Russell Jackman and Mike McDowd. Okay, guys, where do you want to start off?
Blake Snell.
Blake
Snell signing is the Giants, who were really underspending in the last couple years, are really all in, I think, now to try to be a team that thinks itself a rival to the ultra spending LA Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, how much have the Dodgers overspent?
Well, now the Giants are getting close to that. The Dodgers spent $1 billion, over $1 billion in this offseason in committed salaries. Although, that with Ohtani, they did that, behind the back deal where they circumvented the luxury tax by having him being paid merely, he's going to be like Bobby Bonilla, someone
that's like, first thing I thought of was Bobby Bonilla. Yeah.
Yeah. Where your grandkids are like saying, yeah, I know, but it took 30 years for it to pay itself off. So, it's been pretty ridiculous. Mike, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, look at 2 years, $62 million. Nice day at the office, huh?
Yeah. Do you know how many hours I have to work to make that much money?
Yeah.
How many lifetimes I have to work?
How many lifetimes it takes? It's a good grab with the Giants. Obviously, the Southpaw can pitch, Cy Young Award winner. Is it enough? I don't think so. And
you can't have just one guy. You can only pitch so many times, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it even speaks to a bigger picture about the Giants, general manager Farhan. There's a lot of questions about him right now, and I think it's interesting sports, fodder, so to speak, because he really hasn't done much for the Giants.
No.
And there's a lot Bobby of
Evans.
really,
Bring back Bobby Evans.
Right. I mean, look, the coaching staff looks good. They've been Rags is back and a couple other guys, but
Melvin was a big move to get Bob Melvin was a big and bold move. Yeah. No, this is I think if Farhan fails this season, he's going to be gone, despite the 3-year extension. I think that he knows his job. is not secure. And you can't fire the coach if if this season the Giants don't make the playoffs, they're not going to get rid of Melvin because they just brought him on board. So the next person on the chopping block, if the Giants underachieve, is going to be Farhan. But now it's arguable to say, hey, Farhan went and got the talent that Melvin needs to at least be competitive. Now, I'm not saying that we're a lock to be better than the Dodgers, but you don't have to be better than Dodgers. You just basically have to look to the wild card and make it into the wild card spot. And from there, a short series with a strong pitching staff like the Giants have now is possibly something that you can surprise someone. And for the Giants to get into the second round of the playoffs, I think would be enough to make sure Farhan would stay around.
Yeah,
that's fair enough. I mean, you said it beautifully in a series, in a playoff series against like the Dodgers. The hottest team is going to win. Can the Giants theoretically win? Sure, but I just think that it's interesting how the onus is put on Farhan now. He's had several years. It's almost like and I'm not saying he has, and I'd like to get your opinions, but there's almost like a little bit of a Billy Ball philosophy with the way that he's governing the team, so to speak. And I don't think it's not going to work in San Francisco. It's not going to work in a major market. And hey, the A's are so good, they're moving to Vegas, baby.
Yeah. bring back the 72.
That wasn't Melvin's fault.
No,
Edward never says I say anything beautifully. By the way,
are they suddenly going to spend a whole bunch of money on players for Vegas now? I mean, they always had a low payroll, so
it's still the same ownership group that treats fans like they're garbage.
But I think just the idea that Vegas gets a team, there's going to be a lot of interest in that. But now I guess they're going to have to play in an indoor stadium.
It's not a done deal yet. So in the sense that they still have to get the stadium all arranged and all of that. They still have that taken care of.
Yeah, I think they should play outdoors in August. Go ahead, Russell.
Right. Yes.
I missed that. Go ahead.
Put them in Sun Devil Stadium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the new A's Stadium in Vegas?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen they were showing some pictures. It looked kind of odd. It's like they didn't have the luxury seats that they waited or something like that. It was kind of a little bit crazy. There are a lot of negative comments on it. Yeah, Russell, you're kind of cutting in and out there, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Sorry. Let me reconnect with you in just a sec. So I'll be right back.
Yeah, we're about 2 minutes from our break here. So let me shift over to football for just a minute. Again, kind of local for us guys here. So the 49ers, they lose Chase Young after just 1 year, signs with the Saints. I mean, these one and done type situations, it gets a little frustrating, as a fan. It's like, well, who's on our team this year? And you get all excited for a guy like Chase Young, and then suddenly, he had a pretty good season.
It was just a deal that didn't work out. I don't feel it was a deal that worked out. The Niners, they were not focused on Chase Young. He was supposed to be an additional element to the defense to get them over the edge, and he didn't perform that way.
Yeah. He had he had like a couple of, it seemed like a couple of good games. Because even Bosa,
the first week that he came back when we played against Jacksonville, he was all right, and but overall, also the Niners had to part with Eric Armstead, so moves have to be made, but they made some other big moves, to pick up other guys, and they also have young players that they need to work in with. Now they've got some draft picks that they got back from when they traded Trey Lance over to Miami to Dallas. So they've got some, and also when they traded like some of the running backs to Miami, they're getting those draft picks back. So this year it's a heavy draft class for the 49ers. That
I
might
think
be very
and Nick
interesting.
wanted to try to get his brother Joey on the team.
Well,
I
and,
don't think they.
Yeah, the Joey Sting.
I mean, look, you look at Young when he was the number 2 overall pick. So the
Go ahead, Mike.
Commanders had him. Still hate that name. And
Yeah.
they traded him to the Niners. So obviously the Niners saw something in him, but and as Russell said, he did not perform to expectations. So now he signs a 1-year deal with the Saints at $13 million. I mean, that again, what a good for him, and pretty much, to your point, Edward, there is no loyalty in sports anymore. It's a joke. Who's on what team? Who's this player? Who's that player? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and he's got to prove him. He'll have to prove himself with the Saints in order for them to resign. I mean, 1 year is I mean, it's a lot of money for 1 year. But after that, it's going to be like, I mean, I think he's probably going to perform well just because he realizes he might be on the chopping block himself if he doesn't do well, and who knows where he's going to go next. Hey guys, we're going to cut to our first commercial break. Trivia question here. We're talking the NBA. I've got this is the only odd question for today. Who was the first NBA player to test positive for COVID?
Oh.
And if you remember,
I remember
they kind of made it a little bit of a big deal.
I remember that like it was yesterday.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything yet. Okay, that's our trivia question. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown along with Mike McDowd and Russell Jackman. Our first trivia question on the NBA. Who was the first NBA player to test positive for COVID? Russell,
you were watching that one because I'm thinking of a player.
No.
Hold on. Okay. I'm gonna. Was it okay? I'm just gonna try. Was it Gobert? Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, Rudy Gobert.
Yeah. Remember how he kind of rubbed the microphone or something? He kind of made not too big a deal out of it.
Yeah, then he started rubbing the microphone, and that was terrible. You look at especially
with the can of worms. I mean, you talk about Gobert, then you talk about somebody like Aaron Rodgers, who has a completely different take on everything. And it's America, so thank God we can still use our mouths to talk what we want to talk. I think. So it's a hot button subject.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember how did they deal with football? They had just finished the Super Bowl, so they didn't really do anything. Training camp and all that stuff didn't start for a few months. But it's like, how did they get around the idea that these guys are sweating and spitting and and all kinds of fluids when they're playing football? I'm trying to remember, what did they do in
people did wear face masks under their helmets.
Oh my God. Can you imagine playing a football game and like, let's say if it's 80 degrees outside and wearing that kind of a mask? Oh my gosh.
That's impossible. That's impossible.
Okay. Well, let's move on.
Trouble, the respiratory situation. I mean, football is tough enough. You've got to get that air in. I mean, it's almost improbable. It's unthinkable.
Yeah. It's funny. It reminds me. I remember even like watching basketball and seeing these guys like Draymond Green and Curry wearing mouth guards. And one time I remember just little playing pickup basketball at the YMCA and going, you know what, I probably should protect my teeth. So I bought one of those guards. Nothing special, but I could barely breathe through that thing. It was hard.
You have to do it through your nose a lot.
Yeah, so I ended up just kind of clenching my teeth every time I went in for a rebound.
Hey, did you guys? I know that all three of us have an hour-long pre-show meeting, and we discuss everything we're going to talk about. I have no idea what we're going to talk about in the show. And for people that are listening, this is totally unscripted, unrehearsed, everything.
Yeah, exactly. Here's what we used to say. Here's what we used to do with our intro was it's a bunch of guys sitting around the bars talking sports and drinks, sports and business over drinks without the drinks. So it's like the audience it's like we're in a bar talking about all this stuff, just on the flip side type thing,
And Mike,
the
you don't
audience
know me
is
well enough
listening in.
yet, but people who
Yeah.
know me well enough know that I'm always capable of talking sports 24 hours a day, no matter where it is or what the subject is. I've always got an opinion on sports, so
Yeah, you
I'm
ask him
ready to
about
talk.
curling.
Really? Well,
Ask him about curling.
I
Russell's the
had
expert
a
on
I had a
sure.
transition because I know this
Sure,
is a
I'll,
business shows, business and sports. But I think let's just hit it for maybe 30 seconds. What do you guys think about the 49ers? They have to give up a 5th round draft pick for an accounting error.
Good.
How?
Accounting
I
error.
mean, do we
Yeah,
just
I read
say,
about
"Oh,
that.
okay, who cares?"
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
with the 49ers, it turns out to be kind of a big deal.
But I don't know. I guess it's just like they have to kind of go back to the accountants and go, you know what?
Yeah, they
We got to blame
forfeited
this all on you
a
guys. I
2020
mean, they're the ones who caused it,
5th round pick,
right?
because and a 4th round pick this year. So
Yep.
my question is, who gets fired? Is it a fireable offense?
Uh, I don't know because this is the first time I've heard of something like this. So, it could be just a one-time shot where you just kind of go, you just automatically can't fire. You don't automatically fire somebody for some kind of an accounting error. And I don't remember. I mean, it has something to do with the salaries, right? Like being over over limit. Because wasn't that the mistake? So, I don't know. I guess you have to kind of figure out like how stupid it was. I mean, I remember,
It's pretty
having.
stupid though.
Yeah,
Again,
it is.
as
I
Mike
mean,
pointed out, no other team has had that happen to them. So, you're talking
yeah,
29 other teams have figured out not to make this error. And the 49ers, who are supposed to be one of the elite, ownerships in football, should have their ducks in a row to not make an accounting error that costs them draft picks. It's bad enough to just be subjected to the luxury tax and to pay, but the salary cap in football is a hard cap. You can't just, do like in baseball and just keep spending. And, yes, the luxury tax goes up and up and up, but you can basically you can spend that out if you're not concerned about money. Whereas with football, you hit it to the dollar, to the cent, to the 20, to the penny. You don't.
Well, I wonder. I wonder if it's
hit that and
like,
you're done.
is that indicative of, I mean, is it just oops, we moved the decimal point over 3 places? I mean, that'd be really kind of stupid. But like, how did the error occur? And I'll give you an example. So I had a loan where I was receiving the money, and the company that was servicing it, it was time for a borrower to pay off, and they had my wiring instructions, and I get a phone call from someone who works at the company saying, "Oh, so Edward, we got your new wiring instructions to your Chase account, but I needed to know like blah blah blah." And I said, "What are you talking about? I don't have a Chase checking account." And so when they said, "Well, here's the email we received," and I looked at it and I said, "Oh my gosh, you know what? You guys got to look at this stuff really carefully because it was one of those
Yes.
things where they, added an extra letter, and it was easy to kind of miss, right?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, if I didn't catch this, they were going to really wire this out, And so
Wow.
that's the thing that's kind of indicative of, not just a little simple error. I mean, because title companies and other companies, I mean, they lose millions of dollars because of that kind of stuff. So, is it indicative of, what, this person's stupid and you got to fire him? Or is it just like, oh, okay, it's kind of an easy mistake? That's what I was kind of wondering with this 49ers issue. Is it just like a simple, like, oh, anybody could have done that kind of mistake? Or is it like, whoa, this is really indicative of your lack of ability? I don't know.
I don't know if it's set a precedent, but it sure is interesting. I mean, you really are
figure
going
that one
to
out.
be focused in. These other teams have to really kind of be aware of the situation now, because it can really, really mess up a team, to a degree.
Yeah.
Is it gonna ruin the Niners season? No, but I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not. That's
Yeah. How do you put
that's
a
the reason.
price on how
That's
much
why.
damage it
That's the
did?
reason I bring it up to you
It's
guys,
tough. It's
because
tough because
it is a
I
business
don't know.
transaction, and this show is geared around business and sports. So I thought it was a nice segue.
In sports, yeah. No, definitely is. Speaking of which, how much do you think the contract for the WNBA potential star, Caitlin Clark, will be? Because she looks like she's the number one pick, and she's gotten all this attention because of her 3-point shooting, and all the beating Pistol Pete's record, etc. Which we can talk about. I mean, there's definitely a difference between the men and the women, definitely. But just the idea that of the NBA potential stars, I mean, everyone's going to be focused on her. What's that worth?
Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Go ahead, Russell.
No, I'm sorry. I got disconnected. I reconnected to that.
Okay. I was just asking about how much you think the contract will be for Caitlin Clark when she gets to the NBA. WNBA.
Yeah, exactly. You
I
keep
would
saying
say
that.
55,000.
What do you think?
Hey, listen.
I don't know
you guys, those women do not make a lot of money. They don't. And
you know what? And honestly, it's not it's not a misogynist thing. It all is about the numbers. I mean, if they were athletically superstars like you see in the NBA, they'd be more. There would be more people who would want to fill up the stadium and more this, that, and the other
for
thing.
the game of basketball, she's the story.
I don't think.
She is the story. The women's game specifically, she is the story. I think it would be great for the league. Is it going to translate? Yeah, I think a few more. Personally, I would go watch her play. But I've never, to be honest with you guys, I want to ask you guys a question. How many of you guys have been to a WNBA game? Crickets. I've never been.
Zero. Cricket. Yeah. Now,
now
possibly
because Russell,
actually have been to one.
Yeah, have you?
I've been to a Monarchs game.
Monarchs game? Okay,
yeah, I went to a Monarchs game out in Sacramento.
Okay. Hold on. We're going to hold that thought. We have to go to our next trivia question here. All right, talking the NBA. I may have, in these next two questions, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. I may have asked these in the past, but what player won the All-Star Game MVP, NBA MVP, and NBA Finals MVP awards in 2000? One player won all those MVP awards: All-Star Game, just a generic NBA, and then the Finals MVP award in the year 2000. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back.
I've gotten to.
Welcome back to. Yeah, cut me off there. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown, Russell Jackman, Mike McDowd, the three of us here. Okay, guys, what player won the All-Star MVP, the NBA MVP, and the NBA Finals MVP awards in the year 2000?
I'm sure
and I can see Mike. I can see the smoke coming out of his ears.
I honestly don't know.
What's the answer, Mike?
But at the time, the Lakers were one of the hottest teams in the NBA. Am I on the right team? Maybe. No, I can see the way Edward was looking. I'm just going to go Kobe.
Kobe.
Just
Kobe Bryant?
try take a guess. No. Russell.
So then it was. If it wasn't Kobe, then I'd say it was Shaq.
It was Shaq. You had the right team. Oh, Mike. You're so close. Oh, missed it by that much.
Yeah, you
were right. Yeah, the Lakers were on a roll back then.
Bay Area, up at that station that's no longer around, called KFTY Channel 50, and I'll never forget covering the Lakers parade, and the current coach of the California Golden Bears, Mark Madsen, The funniest thing I've ever done, man, was watch this guy do the happy dance at the parade. He danced like the ultimate white boy. I mean, he was awesome. He was awesome. A good Mormon kid, just going crazy with Shaq and Kobe, and the other players fell on the floor laughing so hard. It was great. So I had to throw that out. But Mark Madson's a pretty good dude.
Of course. Okay. And now
Yeah,
you
since
said
we're
you go ahead, Russell.
sorry.
That's
No,
good.
I was gonna say, since we're on the NBA, I have the next topic I wanted to bring up,
Yeah, go ahead.
which is that did anyone watch the Warriors Lakers game on Saturday?
I did.
How about
Yeah.
that 20-minute ending that they had? With the
The
last
delay because of the sport of the
Yes,
clock.
because they couldn't get
Yeah.
the clock to work. What an embarrassment. What an embarrassment to have
Yeah.
a game that's on national television, your focus game, and you can't get the clock right. You have to have an announcer announce the last minute of the game audibly on, every 5 seconds, through the
The PA
speaker.
announcer. Yeah, because I was wondering when they use a stopwatch. I mean, they got to have someone loudly, say 5, 4, 3.
I know. Here we are in 2024. We're supposed to have flying cars and we have artificial intelligence, but we have an NBA game that is on national television and they're announcing it the way that you do like a little league, like game that you have, a rec game over at the
Listen, I can
YMCA.
relate to that, gentlemen. I'll
Guys,
tell you why,
what
and
do you
I'll
have
try
to
to
say
tell
about that?
quickly. So this
Go ahead,
past
Mike.
college football, so I did college football in Georgia. I was at Valdosta State University. The first game of the season, it was only about 98 degrees, southern humidity that you can't believe. And listen to this. So 2 days earlier, there was a big hurricane, Hurricane Ida, came in, caused a lot of damage. Guess what? They played the football game without any power in the stadium. Now, what does that mean for the broadcaster? We had no power really in. I had to use certain generator, but I had no stats. I had no game clock. No game clock. So I had to have somebody yell. I had to have the sports information director yell out. He would yell at the time, 4 minutes and 13 seconds. You follow what I'm saying? 6 minutes and it was brutal. So I have a lot of empathy for what happened in LA. So that was in all my career, that was the most challenging game I've ever called. And thank God I have done it. Yeah.
Mike, no offense, but what was your budget to put that
Budget,
game on?
let's see, about $150.
$150. And the
Righteous
NBA,
Macaulay would say in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
True.
and the NBA having a game that is the focus game for the entire country, for the entire world, is watching that game. I mean, that was the only game that was on. And you're trying to get, and this is Los Angeles versus, supposedly this is your marquee matchup, and you can't get the clock right for 20 minutes. I can understand for maybe a 5-minute sort of thing where you go out and send somebody to, Walgreens to get you, a stopwatch or something like that. But
Well, it's funny. I was glad I recorded the game and then I watched it because I kept like fast forwarding a couple of minutes. I'm going, this is going on a little longer than it should.
But it was also with 1 minute and 24 seconds left with a 4-point game. So it was totally in the balance, and the suspense was absolutely like you waiting for it to happen. I couldn't even go to the bathroom because I thought the very next moment that they were going to get the ball inbounded, that they were going to shoot the ball. It was going to be like crunch time. You don't want to miss it. So
hopefully your plumbing didn't back up there.
No, but I'm just saying 20 minutes to figure that whole thing out. It's one of the most embarrassing things I think I've ever seen on a major broadcast. And if you want to talk about people getting fired because the accounting error, I think whoever, why is it that the shot clock is like the most high tech piece of equipment in the NBA, and they need to get Oppenheimer Jr. to like work those things to make it go correctly. I bring that back to you guys. The shot clock goes off and gets broken so often in NBA games, and I really wonder what the hell that's all about.
Maybe just get rid of it for the last 2 minutes if that's a problem. That won't affect the game at all.
Just have people with signs, like hand signs that are like flipping it over, or like one of those big, I mean, why they don't have a backup like clock that they can just like pull out from the
no, you're right. I was thinking about it in football, like when they, first down, second down, third down, they have the little flip cards. Yeah, they keep doing that.
Really good point.
Yes,
they have a backup backboard and a backup.
Yeah, they should have at least one
in sitting by in the arenas, because every now and then, Shaq used to break the backboards. What they have to do? They had to bring out a new one.
Or no, who was the main? Who was the guy who did it? I think twice in one game.
Wow, good.
Or he had a
Dawkins,
Daryl Dawkins. Yeah, he was the guy.
When it comes to NBA trivia, it's hard to beat me on that. I've got the answers, but we'll be in baseball season soon, so you'll have a chance, Mike.
Okay, but for now, Mike, you got a couple.
I was gonna say we got to talk about. Yes, I'll do the trivia question, but hopefully we get like maybe 60 seconds to talk about the Caitlin Clark, Pistol Pete Maravich comparison, because we've been talking about this, but we haven't really dived into it, and it's fascinating the profound differences of the game, and hopefully we can hit it. But my trivia question is, ready for this? Russell will probably get it too. Who is the first Heisman Trophy winner on the West Coast, and what school?
Oh.
Okay, so it wasn't Ernie. You're talking. Okay, it wasn't Ernie because he came from back east.
No,
it wasn't O.J. Simpson, was it? Because
let me ask you a question. Here's a good one too.
Oh, Joe Cal.
I know we reside in the Bay Area. How many Heisman Trophy winners have come out of Cal?
Yeah.
Goose egg. None. I don't
one?
think I'm almost positive of that. There's only been one from Stanford.
Really? None of them?
Nope. That's correct. That's
so Aaron Rodgers didn't get
this one will blow your minds, by the way.
And what's his face? Okay. I mean, somebody who looking to go, really? That guy? Go ahead. What's the answer?
I can give you a hint.
Let me try, because I was thinking O.J. Simpson.
Give me the year.
No.
Give me the year first.
Reggie Bush. Yeah, that's it.
Reggie Bush?
No. I'll tell you what. It's out of the state of California.
We're talking on the West Coast. O.J.
No.
Washington from Washington?
What West Coast? West Coast?
Arizona?
No, now we're really lost. So you might as well tell us.
Getting hot.
West Coast, Oregon?
Opposite School of Oregon.
Idaho?
Yes.
Oh, Oregon?
And
Oregon State.
Okay, so of course nobody gets it. It's a great
Oregon
question.
State.
I wouldn't.
It was a guy who was drafted by the Rams, like one of the top picks. And do you remember this? Do you remember this name? Terry. What was it? 50. It had to
what
be,
year?
It had to be louder.
Wait,
that's right.
Wait. Well, don't tell me what year. 50?
Maybe. No. Let me see if you guys recognize this name.
Not Roman Gabriel.
He actually became one of the attorney generals in the state of Oregon. So Russell, you could appreciate that. A guy by the name of Terry Baker. Do you remember Terry Baker? Well, I mean, listen. That's what I'm saying. He's the.
No. You got me on that one. Yeah.
I knew Terry Baker, but he was a friend of my dad's.
I bring the question for a reason. Everybody thinks it's a USC Trojan, a UCLA Bruin. they don't ever think about an Oregon State Beaver.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a tough one, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
Quarterback.
What,
Yeah, all
and
right.
the 50, what position did he play?
Yeah,
He was a
and
quarterback.
he didn't
Okay.
he didn't have a
Terry Baker.
he did
right?
not
He
really
ended
have
up with
it
the
like a lot
Rams.
of these guys. He didn't have a very successful NFL
Yeah.
career.
You know,
I will
and
say
it's funny.
college football is not one of my strengths. College
Okay.
football is
Well,
not one of my
You know, it's
biggest
funny because
strengths.
do you remember Archie Griffin from Ohio State? He won the Heisman
Right.
2 years in a row, and he gets to the NFL, and it's like it just crashed and burned. You know, he just didn't have much of a
Not everybody
career.
translates. You know, look at Trey
Yeah.
Lance. You know,
Yeah.
in fact, that entire quarterback
Well,
class of 2020 has really turned into a bunch of busts. You
Brian
know,
Bosworth,
Brian
man,
Bosworth, you know,
he was a hell of an actor.
for the Sooners, I think, right?
You know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Well, and his
and without
shoulders.
him, you wouldn't have one of Bo Jackson's
Exactly.
best football highlights of
Yeah.
him running over
Just
Brian
running him
Bosworth.
over. Yeah. You know
That's
what?
where
But interestingly enough, but Brian Bosworth was smart enough to buy a disability policy, a private one. So when he got hurt on his shoulders, that's it. He was I don't remember how large it was, but he was covered for the rest of his life. Okay, you guys ready for our last NBA trivia question here? Who is the only player in NBA history to record more than 200 blocks and 200 steals in the same season? I was gonna say now Wemby is he's too young and he has a lot of blocks. I don't think he's got a lot of steals.
and Wilt and Bill Russell didn't get blocks and steals.
They didn't get a lot of steals. Yeah. Okay. So who's the only player in NBA history to record more than 200 blocks and 200 steals in the same season? All right. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We're gonna be right back with some closing comments. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman and Mike McDowd. Our third trivia question, who is the only player in NBA history to record more than 200 blocks and 200 steals in the same season? I thought I asked this one before. Maybe I didn't. Okay, so what position?
My guess would be Akeem Olajuwon.
Yes. Hakeem Olajuwon. Very good. Boy, Russell, I think you were 3 for 3 today. Not bad.
Yes.
No,
well,
not
I
bad
mean,
at all.
Olajuwon gets underlooked as like one of the greatest players in NBA history. I mean, he really, everyone talks about Jordan. Obviously, he is, Jordan is the best, and people talk about LeBron, but they just completely gloss over the amazing stats that Olajuwon compiled for a number of
maybe
years.
because he was more on the quiet side, wasn't he?
Yes, he was, and
that happens.
The back-to-back titles that he got just kind of like get glossed over when you just think about a Tim Duncan who has 5 championships and LeBron and Curry and so forth. But it's during the time that Olajuwon was doing what he did, there was pretty much no one that was like him as a center.
Yeah, at that point. Hey guys, okay, you ready? Here's our thoughts for the day. So Joan Rivers said, "People say money is not the key to happiness, but I have always figured out if you have enough money, you can have a key made." Thought that was pretty good. And Mark Twain said, "Never put off till tomorrow what you can do the day after tomorrow just as well." All right, and with that, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. And Mike McDowd's going to be inviting some guests on pretty soon. That'll be cool. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Hey, that was a good conversation.
Adios.
So long.